Okay, now we're going to talk about our section on polynomial division. So the first type of dividing we're going to do is dividing by a monomial. And when you're dividing by a monomial, we were actually using the quotient rule in small increments. So just like when we were multiplying polynomials, we use the product rule. When we're dividing monomials, we're using the quotient. I said the quotient. When we multiply polynomials, it's the product rule. When we're dividing monomials, it's the quotient rule. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this, and it's going to be this monomial under each of the terms of the polynomial above. So I'm going to rewrite this as 24x to the 7th over our monomial 4x squared. Then put that plus sign that's in between, and then write 12x to the 2nd over our monomial 4x squared, and then write the minus sign that's in between, and 4x over our monomial 4x squared. So what we actually do is we have three separate problems that we're going to look at individually. So once we rewrite it, the first one that we're going to look at is the 24x to the 7th over 4x squared. And I want you to do this exactly like we did our quotient rule. So we're going to divide with the numbers or reduce the fraction. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. And then for the quotient rule, remember when you have the same base, you keep the base and you subtract your exponent. So 7 minus 2 is 5. The bigger number's on top, so x to the 5th. Answer goes on top. So we divide the numbers or reduce the fraction and then use the quotient rule to subtract and to get the answer, or the bigger number, wherever the exponent is, that's where your number is going to go. For your second term, I'm going to bring down the plus sign. I have 12 over 4, so that's going to reduce to 3, the bigger numbers on top. Or, anyway, so I have x to the 2nd over x to the 2nd. I can cancel those out, so actually 3 is just going to be the only thing for that second term. For the last term, I'm going to bring down the minus sign. 4 over 4, well 4 cancels out with 4, and then for my variables, I have 2 minus 1 is 1, the bigger numbers on bottom, so that means there's going to be nothing left on top. So there's an understood 1, and x to the 1st goes on bottom. Now why is there nothing left on top? Well, the numbers canceled out. So when I was doing the quotient rule, I had 2 minus 1 is 1. The bigger number goes on bottom, so my answer goes on bottom. So that leaves a 1 on top. Now let's look at our second example, our part B. This is the same thing as our polynomial above, but it's just written a little differently. This one already has it in division form. This one has it in a different type of division form, but I'm going to rewrite it the same way. This is going to be 25x cubed over 5x squared. Bring down that plus sign. I have 5x squared over our monomial 5x squared. So when I work this problem, I'm going to work the numbers to the numbers and then the variables to the variables again. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. For the variables that have the same base, I subtract my exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1. The bigger number's on top, so my answer goes on top. Bring down my plus sign. For the numbers, the 5s are going to cancel out. For the variables, the x squares cancel out. It's the same thing. So I'm going to have 5x plus 1. Don't forget to put that 1. It's not a 0. Anything divided by itself is going to be 1, and that's going to be in simplest form. All right, I'm going to move this up and go to the next example. And our next example has a little bit bigger numbers. We're doing the same thing, so I'm going to rewrite this as 12x cubed y cubed over 3xy. Bring down my minus sign. 18xy over 3xy, bring down my plus sign, 6y over 3xy. So I have three different problems, and again I'm just going to look at them piece by piece. So I have 12 divided by 3 is 4, so I'm going to write the 4 down first. And for my x's, just looking at the x's, I have 3 minus 1 is 2, the bigger number's on top, so x squared goes on top. For the y's, same thing, 3 minus 1 is 2, so the bigger number's on top, so my answer goes on top. All right, for the next one, I'm going to bring down my minus sign, and I have 18 divided by 3 is 6. The x's and the y's are going to cancel out, so I'm just left with 6 for that middle term. Bring down a plus sign. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now notice that there's not an x on the top, so that means the x stays on bottom because there's nothing to cancel it or do anything with. So it stays where it's at, and the y's are going to cancel out. So this is in simplest form the 4x squared y squared minus 6 plus 2 over x. And the last problem where we have division of monomials is letter D. And I'm going to have 2x squared y over 2xy plus 8x squared y squared over 2xy minus xy squared over 2xy. Okay, so again, piece by piece, the 2's are going to cancel out on the first one. And so when the 2's cancel out, I have for my x's, x squared over x. So I'm going to subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. The bigger number's on top, so just x goes on top. The y's cancel out, so x is the only thing in my first term. For the second one, I have 8 over 2 is 4. For the x's, I have 2 minus 1 is 1. The bigger number's on top, so x the first goes on top. For the y's, 2 minus 1 is 1. The bigger number's on top, so y is going to go on top. For the next one, notice that we don't have a number on top, so that 2 is just going to stay where it's at on the bottom. And then I'm going to go for the x's. The x's are going to cancel out. And then the y's, 2 minus 1 is 1. The bigger number's on top, so my y goes on top. So it's just going to be y over 2 for my final answer. So this is division by monomials.